today, just to run down how it should go for the next 1.5 hours. I will do a quick intro on the Tableau user group and what Tableau is, what the user group will be about over the next few months. Well, okay, at least Tony and I will. I'll hand it to him at some point. And then we'll have the amazing speaker sessions. So Cecilia will run the first 30 minutes, and I'm excited to hear her story as well. And Timothy will run the next 30 minutes after that. We might take a break in between, maybe a few minutes as they hand over the presentation. But beyond that, I think it's going to be an amazing hour. And then the last 15 minutes should be Q&A. So if you have any questions for the speakers, for the Tableau user groups as well, that time is dedicated for any Q&As, FAQs, FAQs. Okay, so let's get started. Just to introduce myself, my name is Mary. I am an analyst at a company called Clever Advertising. And I will hand it over to Tony to introduce himself, and then we could go from there.
So, hi everyone. Sorry, thank you, Kenya, for the nice intro and all that. So, about me, I think I'm an analyst at a company called Ignite Energy Access. Well, initially it was NG, but we transitioned. And I guess we'll get to know each other as we proceed. So, I'll just take you through what we have for today. So, I was creating this chart, why Tableau? You guys may be thinking, why should you learn Tableau and all that? So the rest of what is written here is really not new in relation to other visualization tools like Power BI, Superset and all that. But then for me, what really stuck with me is the vibrant community that is there with Tableau. So you never walk alone. Those who love football, that's a saying that Liverpool uses, but well, we can also use it here. So Tableau, we have a rich community where in case you have issues, you're stuck here and there, you can reach out and get help. Over and above, we have guys who are doing the visualization here and there. You can go check out and get inspired with the tips and tricks that is happening in the community. Funny thing, like yesterday, when was it yesterday? No, on Thursday, sorry. I was stuck with something, so I decided to just go through the Tableau Public and get ideas of how I'll handle my next dashboard, because, well, currently I work with Tableau is what to use on a day-to-day basis. And I got some inspos, and it's what gave me the starting point of how I'll create the next visualization that I was creating. So with this, for me, with while Power BI, all that, Looker, they give you just a software. For Tableau, it gives you a network, a community, where you can share, engage, and learn from each other. So I think that's why for me Tableau is close to my heart, if I may say. Yeah. So if we may, what are Tableau user groups, if I may? So I'll explain this in, so imagine the data landscape as a vast, rich wilderness, for instance. You've got Tableau tools. In this analogy of mine, the Tableau is the compass, the map, the machetes, and so on. But despite having all that, you need a tribe. People you walk the journey with, consult, all that. So Tableau for me, the TUG is exactly that. It's a tribe that you guys need. So Tableau is a vibrant community-led meetup events. It can be either online or virtual. Sorry, it can be online or in person. We are working on that.
Yeah.
Where people connect, learn, and share things all about Tableau data and what's happening in the community. For instance, currently there is a buzz about the Tableau Next. Maybe in the next sections, we can also look into that. But tools help us to know what's happening in the industries, assist each other in our path to learning Tableau as a tool. So tools are fully supported by Tableau. So we as tools leaders, we have a channel where Tableau supports us in the events and so on. And currently, there are only 8 in Africa. Kenya is the most recent one. Shout out to that.
Yeah.
So we're training the data farm in Africa. Before then, there was Egypt, Nigeria. Nigeria is very active with its TUG. There's also Morocco, Mozambique. My colleague is also the TUG leader there, and also South Africa. So us an addition, Kenya joining this, I see it as a big deal and a game changer for us.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, sorry. Um, I couldn't have said it better. Like, honestly, I think if you could see the behind the scenes of the last 3 months or 4 months, Tony and I have really done the legwork to get this Tableau user group set up. It took a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of backs and forths with the Tableau team to get to a point where we have our first kickoff, and it's really, really exciting. So I'm just going to walk you through what we hope the Tableau user group does for the participants over the next few months. Tableau had um, an onboarding session with us, and we talked through what are our goals, what we're hoping to achieve, how we hope to build out this community over the next few months. And these are our 4 key metrics. We want to help you network. So, as Tony said, the Tableau community has over, I think, millions of visualizations on their public platform, first of all, but thousands of people in their public network. And beyond using the tool to create your visuals on a day-to-day, there is a public platform where you can share your visuals, get inspo from what other people are doing out there, um, create a portfolio for yourself if you're looking for employment. That's also a really big thing. And there are user groups like this. So there are user groups all over the world. Kenya recently got added, I think, last month. And it's been such a big deal for me personally because I've joined user groups for the past few months. I joined the Lagos user group just to see what they're into, what they talk about, how they use Tableau that we are not exposed to. And there's some amazing people out here doing really good work with Tableau, and we hope to expose you to them over the next few months. So networking is one thing. We will share all the resources we have with you. Events and workshops is another. And today being our first event, I really feel good about the speakers we have because I think they have a really good story to tell about how the curiosity they had in data storytelling built out a whole career for them and is continuing to do so. Skills building will be another thing we're hoping to really bring out in the next few months. Having technical workshops. Today is a really good, a feel good event. So you don't have to whip out your laptop to try anything out today. But in the next few events we have planned out, we would hope that we would teach you how to use Tableau in different ways, show you what's possible out there based on what other people are doing, expose you to aspects you haven't been exposed to in different tools like Power BI and, sorry, I am kind of anti Power BI kind of gal. So Tony knows this. And then the last thing is community. We want to help you meet different people in Kenya, specifically before we go into the global community who are doing really good things out there. People you can talk to if you need help, and people who can inspire you to improve your skills over time. So those are the 4 major things we're hoping to achieve over the next few months. Please join us as we do so. We do have a lot of good events planned out before the end of the year, so we will share them as time goes on. Okay. So get involved with the community. I think this is the one thing that I would say just before we get into any technicalities in the future sessions. Start by downloading Tableau. I think this is the obvious first step. Download Tableau, create a Tableau public profile. And I think after this event, we will be able to share out a quick email and we could add those links just so you can download Tableau, create a public profile, play around with the tool, expose yourself to how the interface looks like, and then try out a data challenge. This is the best way I learned. I think it really helped me gain confidence in the tool. There are different challenges that happen week on week across the entire Tableau community. There is Makeover Mondays that happen every single Monday without fail, I think for the last 4 years. They share a data set and you have the creative freedom to make it what you will. And when people share this on their public platform, you get inspired. One data set done in thousands of different ways really helps you learn how to gain perspective in how you tell your story. It really does help. And the more you practice, the better you get over time. And Workout Wednesday is also a really good challenge. The idea there is to recreate what the author or creator of the challenge did that day. So they walk you through step by step on how they did what they did, and you follow the steps, and the end result should ideally be what should mirror what they did. So I urge you to try it out, and you could always reach out to us if you need some help on how to get started with the challenges. It's always a really good and easygoing way to get started. But that's all I'll share for now. I think if you want to know more, please join the future sessions. But that's all the technical talk for today. Beyond this point, it is going to be fun and easygoing and light as we switch over to the speaker sessions.
Okay, cool. So my name is Cecilia Wanja Yeshohi, and I'm a data analyst by profession. I'm currently at Bosch. And wait, this feels like I'm talking to myself, but I'll just imagine you guys somewhere at the background. I'm a data analyst. I'm currently in Bosch, and I just started in February. And so I'm going to tell you my entire journey and how Tableau came into the picture and how I also got into data, just basically my entire journey. Yeah. So I'm going to take you through it. Perfect. So I do love the aspect of adding images. I actually just thought of this, I think probably yesterday, but adding images to storytelling is really important to me, especially because right now I'm in a transitional phase, and looking back at pictures and memories like really makes the journey worth it. Yeah. And so my journey started in 2019. I graduated then, and just before I graduated, then I joined Moringa, and actually we're in the same class with Mary. And yeah, so this was my first contact with Tableau, and I think we were taught Tableau during the prep phase. And I remember our technical mentor's feedback to me was that, basically she had so much feedback for me then, and I felt, oh no, I'm not good at this. But I think with practice is when I became better. My first Tableau dashboard was not really the best. And yeah, so I think that is when in Moringa is when I realized the power of data. And so I always tell everyone I meet and in every interview that I think data is the most powerful tool a company can have. And I think you as a data analyst and having the power to tell a story through it, and having to actually, because you're not trying to convince people, because data is facts, right? And so I love the aspect of also making an impact using data. It's so bossy to just get into a room and communicate data to people, and they'll actually make decisions based off of that. So I think that is what makes my journey in data worthwhile, making an impact, and it's tangible impact and it's quantifiable impact. Yeah, so that's a picture of me, Mary, and our classmates and our technical mentors also. And that was back in 2019. Then I remember immediately after Moringa, I joined a company called NS Education. And it was basically an ed tech. And my role at that time was business intelligence engineer. And my role encompassed, monitoring, doing data analysis, etc. And this was my team. So this was the tech team. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. We were just two women, and everyone else was a guy. And it was such an amazing team. It was my first contact with a technical team, software developers, such cool people. And I was really happy then. And I remember after, also we were basically in Ngong Road, and these hangouts with your people, and it was a really fun time. Then after that, I left Aneza. So I left Aneza because I thought at some point my career had plateaued, and I had understood everything there was in the business, in the edtech business, in the edtech space. And it was maybe a repetition of a lot of things. So I just decided to leave and join the e-commerce world. Yeah. And this was my team. So this was a team of this was basically, the CEO, then the CMO, then just the leads. So I started at Shopzetu, and Shopzetu is the biggest fashion e-commerce in East Africa. And it is a child company to Vivo. I think Vivo is in every mall currently in Kenya, and also in Rwanda and Uganda. And I think also in South Sudan. And part of it was also opened in the US. So Shopzetu is the e-commerce side of things. And it's a marketplace of so many Kenyan women. Actually, 90% of the vendors there are Kenyan, but it's a culmination of a lot of vendors from Kenya who are so passionate about fashion. Okay, so stayed in Shopzetu. I think I stayed in Shopzetu for maybe 2 years, 9 months, and I was at Eneza for I think another 2 years maybe. But this was, I think, the most exciting part of my career, right? The team was amazing, and I was just starting the data architecture for the company. We were solely reliant on Shopify, and I thought it was a bit limiting, right? So in the process of all that, of all the limitations that came with the data that they had, and what we needed, because we needed to perform a lot of performance marketing, and that is on Meta and Google Ads and etc. So we genuinely needed reliable data, and I remember creating an entire data pipeline from creating the warehouse. Then after the warehouse, then you start creating the dashboards. So here unfortunately, Mary, we used Power BI, or rather, I went for the Power BI option. So that was a summary of Shopzetu, and I started off as a data analyst. Stayed for the position for about a year, then was promoted to head of growth and data. And the growth part was basically me ensuring that our growth to other markets was plausible and it was optimized in the best way possible using data. Super exciting job. And then I left. So I left because I got an opportunity for a program, and the program is called Africa Commt. And what that means, because that's German, it just means Africa is coming to Germany. And I literally just saw it in LinkedIn and just applied and got in. I don't know. So I just usually feel like my life is just based off of luck. I can't even explain it, but I just saw the post and applied. It was a lengthy application process. Applied, got in, and what Africa Compt is basically it's a program that brings Africans to Germany to work for an entire year, and you get to experience working with a German company, right? And so the the big companies in Germany are SAP, and then Bosch, and then in the medical space there's Boehringer Ingelheim, there's Merck, there's BioNTech that came up with the what's this COVID vaccine, BioNTech, and then there's Odo, who's like really big in the banking industry. There's Volkswagen, then there's BMW, and Audi is also So it's basically just like really huge companies that came together and said, hey, let's sponsor some Africans to come to Germany to work for a while. And I think it's also trying to mingle the two cultures together, because they can learn something from Africans and we can learn something from the Germans. And this is where, as I wrote on the slides, this is where I thought the POF community was really important. I mean, it's not, so the people here are not just data analysts. I think we're maybe just 4 data analysts, and the rest some are medical doctors, some are people in marketing, some are people in project management, some are Let me just look. User experience people. So it's so many people that come together, and according to the profile that you applied, then you go to your company face. But my point being, I think if data took me this far, and I am literally 5 or 6 years into my career, so there's so much power in the data, and the world recognizes that, and it's something I'm really proud of. I don't think right at this time and age there's any company that does not leverage data. So there's so much power in it, and I'm so glad that I get to leverage it at every company that I work at. So and the POF community here. So it's obviously different here because you're alone and you're abroad, and it gets lonely, but the POF community was the most important lesson I learned ever since the program started. And after the program, so Bosch offered me a job, and I took it. And this is me at Bosch. So this is me in Stuttgart. Stuttgart is basically the headquarters of Bosch Power Tools, and it's just the Power Tools option. So Bosch has like home comfort, then the automotive space, which is super huge. Then there's the Power Tools. Then I feel like I've missed a certain division, but yeah. So I was in the Power Tools section, and I still am, even with the new role. And the headquarters are in Stuttgart, Germany, and I am excited about everything. So if all this started from understanding basics in Tableau, understanding just basics in data analysis, and now I'd actually say I'm really good with at what I do in data. So keep experimenting and keep feeling forward, and every chapter is part of a bigger story. Like there's so much ripple effect that can come up with just trying out something, trying out a new tool, trying out an application, trying out just something. Yeah, and that's basically my journey. I hope you have had fun with the pictures. I thought that was like a little fun thing to do. And if you want to connect with me, that's my email, and my LinkedIn is Cecilia Wanjage Shohi. Yeah, that's it from me. Any questions? Or maybe this is not the time for questions.
No, actually, you finished in time. So you have 15 minutes left.
Okay.
Which is amazing. Your story was very amazing. Thank you for making time. I think Tony might want to ask a question or two before we jump on to the next part of the session. But I know the people in the call would have a few questions as well. So
Amazing story, Seth. Fun fact, I joined one session back in the days, I think it's 2 years ago. It was on a Saturday. I can't recall what platform, but I listened to your story. Back then you had Shop Z. I was also started seeing and all that, and I'm happy to see you grow and the strides you've made so far. So that's, and my question is it really a question? I'm just curious, how is it at Bosch?
How is it at
How is
Bosch?
your day-to-day activity like? Your day-to-day, what do you hand your data aspects there?
Yeah. So I handled currently I handle 2 projects, actually 3, but one I was not really invested. But I'll start with the tools. Again, I'm sorry, Mary, we use Power BI. Yeah, but I do know it's not just Power BI. I mean, we have so many tools, but the division I work in is Power BI centric. And I think it's because we do. I think Power BI supports maybe more machine learning than Tableau, but I do know visually there's another team that uses Tableau for their work, but for our team they just decided Power BI. So we use Power BI. Then we also use Databricks. Then aside from Databricks, we also use Python. And I hope I'm not missing something. I don't think I'm missing something. But that's the day-to-day. So a day-to-day would look like me reporting to work and handling. So we also use Microsoft Tasks. And in a sprint, I'll have specific tasks that I needed to do or were added by my senior, or the ones I chose to add during my sprint one and what I can handle. So what Bosch does actually is you don't just work on one project. You have to, sometimes you're split. So I am 50-50 split in one project and 50 in another project. So for the 50%, if I can manage all the tasks during the sprint, then I'll do that. And mostly my work revolves around, at least for one project, revolves around so the Power BI dashboards and creating them, and also communicating with stakeholders on the expectation and what I have delivered, and them giving me feedback and saying, hey, we need this. Or if they need another dashboard, then yeah. And if they need maybe additional data, then I have to either talk to data engineers if I can't do it on my own. And they use Spark. And for the other project, we because we're in Germany, a lot of companies actually use SAP. I don't know. I'll just say it here, but yeah, please don't quote me. I do not like SAP. I struggle. I just yeah. So unfortunately we use SAP on the other project, and I am just it's not for me, but it's basically just using the SAP platform then to get data to an analytics dashboard that is in Microsoft Microsoft Server. Then after that, I also pull it to. So there's so much, because we're dealing with so much data. There's a level of manualness that might be also on that other project. So depending on the time of month, because that's usually the sales data, then I have to pull, then push it to the dashboard. It's a bit tedious, but we're getting there. So the manualness, I thought it would end with the bigger the company, but it's unfortunately something we still have to deal with. So yeah, on one hand, we're dealing with Power BI, and on another, I'm dealing with ECP. I hope I've answered your question.
You have. Thanks for that. I needed to know that because I was trying to relate to the activities with what I do currently. And it's different in a way. You can go next.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I think one of the major things that I got from your presentation was just the aspect of believing in yourself and believing in your skills at any point in time. Just the confidence that comes with practice and exposing yourself to people. Do you have any insights that you could share with everyone in the call on what are some of the things that you do that build up your confidence, at least up until this point? Just small hacks that could help you when you feel like you do know what you're doing, but you need that extra oomph to get you to where you need to go.
Yeah. I think when I was starting in Bosch in February, please note that even I face so much imposter syndrome, and it actually gets to you, and you get so scared, and you feel like you're not, you don't have the right skills, especially for the role, and so I think what really helps me is audacity. So I plan ahead. What I do is I plan ahead. I make myself be in situations where I can't run away from doing that thing. So for example, if I need to network with someone, maybe on Friday, I just create the meeting now when I'm feeling a little confident. And then you can't cancel last minute or something. So I just show up, even though I don't want to have coffee with the person. I just show up. So I plan ahead in that sense. I put myself in situations where I actually have to do it. And aside from that, I think audacity has really helped. Trust me, I did not think. I mean, and the numbers were not on my side. I mean, the numbers were, they only accept maybe 35 to 40 people, and 9,000 applicants applied. So the competition was really high. I did not expect it. In fact, I came out of the meeting saying, okay, I'm just gonna be in Shopzeto for a while, and it's fine. I don't mind it. And I thought it went badly, but then actually I got it, and I was just like, whoa, okay, that's weird. So I think audacity, like really have audacity to think you're the best. And I think someone ever said, when you meet people who have less credentials than you and they're doing, just because they have audacity, they're actually doing it, and they're doing it with more confidence but less skills, and they're doing it badly, that's when you'll actually realize, oh my God, you need to, like, you are it, because you are good at what you do, and people are doing more with less confidence and they're just winging it. And honestly, yeah, you gotta do it. So I think that is what really, if I just remember there's someone being paid way more than me and I have more credentials and they don't, and then, just because they were confident, I'm just like, yeah, you better be confident in what you do. Yeah. So I think that helps.
Yeah, I think I'll take your advice as well.
Yeah.
Especially on the setting something up beforehand. So that's a
Yeah.
good one.
Oh my God, yeah. I've grown to be so introverted, and I don't like situations where I have to network or I have to. So I think that really helps. Yeah. Or even the postponing bit. I'm such a procrastinator, so I just put myself in situations where I have to actually do the thing.
Yeah, yeah. Amazing. Honestly, I've really enjoyed your session. I think I've learned a lot, and congratulations as well. I really do hope that your journey takes you even farther than where you are right now.
Thank
And
you.
before you go, because I really think that someone in the audience might have a question or two, maybe someone can drop their question in the chat. I think the way this call is set up, they can't unmute and ask their question, which would have been nice, but I guess it's all good. We will see you in the 15-minute Q&A at the end, I guess, if that's okay.
So
Or
sorry.
you can drop off. Yeah.
Yes, I have to drop
Yeah.
off. I'm so sorry because there's something I need to get to, but I think I can drop. No, actually, my LinkedIn is, if that's okay.
No, we will definitely share it with everyone at the end of the session, so don't worry.
Okay.
But there's actually a question before you go. So
My interview process at Bosch. Okay, I hope I have a couple of minutes. Is it okay if I can answer? Okay. It's cool. So my interview at Bosch was unconventional. Let me just say that. What happened is I joined the program, right? And Bosch is one of the companies that sponsors the program. And so I think I'll need to give you the interview process at for AfricaComt. And what you do is when you're applying, you asked a couple of questions. I'm so sorry, I can't remember, but you ask so many questions about yourself and where you see yourself in the future. And you're also told to do a change initiative. Yeah. And this change initiative is basically a problem that you solve in your community or in your country, right? And mine was basically just, data, AI and stuff. And that impressed people. And you're also supposed to present it. Okay, no, that's like way ahead. Yeah. But you just present your change initiative on slides and yeah. And what it goes through is a panel of people from the NGO called GIZ. It's a very long German name. So GIZ, and they're responsible for the AfricaComt people. So what the companies give them the budget, the money, and then they handle it and plan everything around our stay, our stipends, and everything. And so those people look at the pool of the 9,000, for example, people who applied, then cut some people off and then retain other people. And what you also do is they give you a chance to apply for two roles. So I applied for Bosch, and I think I applied for SAP because I was just like, oh, SAP, software, but then I was rejected for that one, and then I got Bosch. But so then the second phase of the whole process is dependent on the company. So for example, Bosch, the first point of contact is the HR. So I met Bosch HR. Then it took me through a series of questions of get to know me questions, and then after that I went to the data analyst, the data scientist actually that I was supposed to work with in Bosch. So you also asked a couple of questions, and not just the ones in Bosch, even the ones in SAP and those partner companies. So they just take a couple of data scientists and then they just ask you questions. So that's the second interview. And then the third one, you're basically now presenting you're put in a group. So at that point, I think we were maybe 100 people, and then you put in small groups. My group was, thank God, mine was made up of Kenyans, but it's Africa Compt is made up of so many people from Africa, and you could just land anyone in that small group. So I thankfully just ended up with Kenyan women, and what you're just told, hey, let's discuss this topic and come up with a solution and then present it, right? So we did that, and then I took initiative and became the leader of like the group, and coordinating. And then you're told, you start saying this is the secretary etc, so get roles, and then you deliver the question or the proposal that they need answers to. And then after that, then you present your change initiative. So the change initiative, they should see, confidence, they should see numbers. You're a data person, you should, show impact in your community. And then after that, you get the acceptance letter, and then you start the visa process, and then you just come to Germany. And so how I joined, like, to be an actual Bosch employee is, after the program, you could be offered a role, or it's not given that you will find a role. So some people haven't gotten, because now we're actually in Berlin, and the program is ending. So some people don't get roles. Unfortunately, it's not guaranteed. It's a program, right? But you get the network. So you know someone who can help you. And I've noticed a lot of big companies, because I've also interviewed with Amazon and also Tesla here. So what they do is I'm telling you, a referral can go length for you. You're just referred to by someone, just a friend, just know someone. I don't know, just know someone who knows someone. If you see on LinkedIn, and that's why LinkedIn has like this, oh, your friend or someone's connection works here. I'm telling you, it'll go a mile if you just know someone and someone can refer you. Because they just reject people, even though you're qualified. They just reject people, and they'd rather go for someone they know. Yeah. And so for Bosch, what I got is my boss put in a good word for me, even though Bosch is actually letting people go. So she just put in a good word for me, and I got it. So I never went through an interview process at Bosch. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And that's it.
It's amazing. It's an amazing story. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for making the time so much. We've appreciated it. Thank you for coming to our kickoff. This is a special session for us, so very glad that you made the time.
Yeah.
The session will be recorded and put up on YouTube, so we will share the link with you once that's up.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you so much, and have a lovely weekend.
Thank you.
Plan to drop off at some
And
point.
I'm happy that you guys are creating this for people. This is exciting. This is exciting stuff. So I'm really proud of you too. And yeah, I'm so sorry I have to leave because we have an event, and yeah, unfortunately. But it was so nice to talk to you guys. Connect with me on LinkedIn if you need me, or if you have any more questions. Cool.
Amazing. Thank you, Cecilia.
Bye. Bye.
Have a lovely weekend.
Okay.
Bye.
How was that, Tony? I think that was a good one.
That's a good one. I think what I took is says life meets you at your level of audacity.
That's perfect. Great. That was really good. And I'm really excited for our next speaker.
Yeah.
Timothy, welcome. I think I will let him introduce himself. He can choose to present his screen if he'd like, or just talk to us face to face. It's totally up to him. He also has a really amazing story to share. Hi, Timothy.
Hi Mary. Hi everyone.
So nice to have you with us. I have given you the permissions to share your screen if you need to.
Okay.
And yeah, let's get into the next session, guys.
All right. Any structured way of doing it, or
wing it? We are here. We are your audience.
okay?
We will listen.
Okay. Hi everyone again. My name is Timothy Pesi. You can call me Tim. It's shorter and faster and easy. I'm currently based in Nairobi, Kenya. I I like to say I'm more of a data, more of a full stack data person rather than just a specific set of analytics. But I've basically worked with different flavors of analytics, a bit data science, a bit of machine learning, data visualization, a bit of analytics engineering, and the back-end work of such work. Yeah, but basically up to now, this is nearly my 6th year within the data space. But these last 2 years, I've taken a sharper or a more structured, sharper look at data visualization and data journalism, more of the communication bit of it. And also recently, I transitioned more from the typical corporate world into a bit of contracting and consulting. And I've consulted with different companies, and most of them are these huge global NGOs like UNICEF, Women Refugee Commission, GIZ, UN Women, Save the Children, such kind of organizations. And basically, I think one of the things that enabled me to kind of have these conversations, for example, with such hiring managers or such jobs, is basically a portfolio. And my portfolio, before I set up a website for myself, was basically the Tableau public portfolio that is available for everyone. So that's where I used to mostly just show out my work. Let me share my screen. And that's where I used to kind of get so much traffic from, because people would see some of the things that I do, and they would be interested to maybe work with me in a certain way, especially when I started doing contracting work. So that's basically a bit about myself. My background is pretty much interesting. I think maybe 6-7 years ago, I didn't see myself more in the data, maybe tech world. I was doing a bachelor's in finance and economics. But then my interest grew when we had started exploring towards the end of my bachelor's. Some of the units we used to do in college were around statistics and a bit of trying to do forecasting. That's what got me into the data world as a data scientist. Ended up now getting deeper into the field and ended up doing a master's in AI, which I'm currently going on with it. Yeah, but then ever since it's been data. I don't think I have actually worked for I don't think I've worked for any role that is around finance. I think my first roles were around data science, and then that's how things kind of went about. Yeah, but basically what I do best is 3 things that I really am passionate about. And clearly you can see from my portfolio here, my Tableau portfolio here, is that I kind of enjoy leading data storytelling initiatives. I think that's the missing list. So basically, you have the skills to pull the data from which other source. You have the skills to create these amazing dashboards. But then sometimes there's only one key thing that for example, an executive wants to see. And that to me is where storytelling comes into the picture of Tableau, data visualization, or in general, the data world, which is how best can you communicate whatever you are doing analysis on, how would you best relate these to the context of the audience. So be it an executive, be it an analyst, be it a fellow analyst, be it maybe even the CEO. Yeah, so I basically started out something around last year where I started this thing of digging through publicly available data. So for example, here in Kenya, I think here in Nairobi, we have the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. So I just get in some of those reports that they do from time to time. but I look at them from a data angle. So I normally use Tableau and a bit of open source programming, JavaScript and T3 to do the visualizations, but basically just try and tell the story much better. Sometimes the data is good, the data is accurate. Maybe the chart is also okay. It's not a bad chart. The colors are good. It looks fine, but the story gets hidden away within the clutter. And one of the things I've come to discover with Tableau, it's basically the flexibility of you creating a story out of your data. And by this, you have so many elements within Tableau that you could use to create a perfect story that clearly explains or clearly communicates what the message is from your data. Because I believe a typical dashboard is not a typical dashboard sometimes can get too cluttered with a lot of information, and you miss out on the main goal of maybe why you are doing the analysis. So why you are maybe trying to show a certain action from the company. Is that action coming out clearly? And I think that's where Tableau gives you the flexibility to just create a story out of it. It gives you the flexibility to design something that gives people context and people can remember this. So this is an example of. So I was just going through some data in the European economy, and at first glance, the data looked like any other data. So it's just a bunch of GDP values and that's it. But then when I looked closely into it, it's so interesting that Germany's economy equals all these countries combined. And now that's the power of storytelling. And Tableau gives you that amazing flex of the different formatting, color tools to basically showcase this. So yeah, the other thing that I kind of do best is also trying to link some design skills to Tableau. I think recently on the last Tableau conference, I think there were some guys who, I think I'll get a link and maybe share that maybe on LinkedIn. There were some guys who are doing some interesting stuff. So they have created this connector between Tableau and Figma. So you could basically create all your prototypes the way you want your dashboard, your data stories, your charts to look like in Figma, and you could push these ones into the same feel and design of Figma. So Figma is it's basically mostly used by UI UX designers to basically, for example, a software, how an interface would look like. So that's one of the other that I kind of do best. And then I think lastly, over the last couple of years, I'm also an enthusiast of startups and co-founding stuff and engineering stuff. And one of the things I've been able to do the last couple of years is I've done 2 startups. And interestingly, both of those 2 startups, the first initial prototype of how, for example, the system would look like, because of time and funding constraints, we actually did both of those startups the first prototypes of the system within Tableau, because it was a data platform, and we needed to just have something to share with some of the guys who were investing into what we were trying to build. And it was amazing to use Tableau for that use case. So basically, we kind of used those advanced features of creating buttons and the dashboard and the tables and some bit of a story around it, and created kind of this website that people would get some of that data. Yeah, and basically, I think from my experience with working with maybe NGOs and maybe the typical business corporate world, I think whichever the use case, every data has a story worth telling. And to me, Tableau can beautifully tell that story. So that's kind of my patent shot. Tableau is this one tool that will kind of open another whole new world of perspective in terms of what you could accomplish. It gives you so many other fronts of working, so many other careers that you didn't think of. I think when I started out as a data scientist, I typically thought my work would always be around machine learning, cleaning data sets, and such kind of work. But when I started using Tableau, the idea of data storytelling clicked in. And when I started doing some charts here and there, I used to look at, for example, what the Economist platform do with their charts, and I would try do them in Tableau. I used to try and replicate the same thing what they're trying to do, and over time, kind of it builds the skills and the confidence to create stuff. And before you know it, it's another career path that you could take. So it's another form of angle of which you could look at data from. So that's kind of my journey around the data world, and a bit about Tableau. Maybe I'll let any questions if there is any. I'm not so much of a talking person. Yeah.
No, Timothy, thank you so much. I immediately knew when I saw your LinkedIn profile that you are the person to be part of this kickoff, because you're very skilled, and I thought your story was really, really cool. I think my first question would be, since you're more of a freelancer
Yep.
and you kind of get different jobs over time, what would be your advice for someone who's hoping to freelance in this career path? Because most of the jobs pushed are employment, like formal employment. And I think not a lot of people go out into the wild and get jobs for themselves and ideally freelance full time. So what
Yeah.
advice would you give to someone who is hoping to take that leap and try it out for themselves?
Yeah. All right. I think the first thing is basically a portfolio. You should always have a portfolio that you talk about freely on LinkedIn. So a portfolio is basically somewhere where someone can see your work. So when I want to have a conversation with you, or when I've not met you, or when I completely don't know you, the first place I'd go is LinkedIn and check out what you do, what's interesting about you. And then the second thing is, I think the world somehow has changed. I think maybe 10 years ago, when maybe you would talk of or 20 years ago, when you talk of freelancing as a main point of someone's career, it was a bit ish. But I think COVID changed so many things. So COVID brought this idea that one, you can work remotely, you don't need to be at the office. So it brought the perspective of you could work from anywhere that you are. So I think recently you've heard of phrases like a digital nomad visas, and such kind of stuff. So all that is basically just a freelancer. So I think the first, as I've said, is a portfolio. I think the thing is you just need to get the confidence to know that if you have those skills, if you can build those beautiful dashboards, beautiful stories, you need to find a way of showing the world what you do, because there's always someone who's interested with something, with such work. And with my experience, I think most of when I look back at all those roles, when I put them, for example, in a resume, sometimes I'm even a bit conflicted of, okay, so what am I? Am I really a data scientist? Because I've built machine learning models, I've built sentiment analysis models, I've built credit scoring models. But then again, when I put it in this other context, I've also done a ton of data engineering work. I've built systems on AWS. I've done migration of data infrastructures to AWS. But when you become a freelancer, you learn that all these skills, it's basically your arsenal of going out. So there are jobs that, for example, they wouldn't really need, for example, most of my humanitarian work and NGO work, they really don't need so much of the data engineering work because they are a bit traditional with how they set things up. So for example, maybe they use Microsoft infrastructure to run everything. And that was kind of set up already, but they would need this interesting bit of someone who can communicate their impact. So one of the interesting projects I've worked on previously was so there was a program that was being run by UN Women Arabic. So it's the UN Women version of the Arabic countries up top. And they were running this campaign or this program that was empowering women at their workplaces. And I remember, so we kind of set up the dashboard nicely, and everything was working well. But I remember we were chatting with the lead of the project. He mentioned that the dashboard is fine. We love the insights that we are getting, but now we want to communicate our impact to the people. We want people to see the value of what we're trying to do with this program.
Yeah.
And so we stopped looking at it from a dashboard data perspective. We started looking at it from a journalism perspective. So from a data journalism perspective. So when you have these different kind of skills, it's easier for you to make that switch, because one, you're just creating a normal Power BI and Power BI flows to feed the dashboard. But now, two, you have to do a prototype on Figma, for example, or Canva, or whichever tool you use to prototype things. And you basically need to build a story and to make these better, not just a story, an informative story.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the, I think they published what we did on their website. And we ended up basically just building a data infographic, or you can call it that. But the focus was more of, so what they are doing, is it making sense to, for example, the women and the mothers at work? Because they had really interesting data. And as you all know, probably in the Arabian countries up top, I think not so many women kind of go to work. So many of them maybe don't get to go to work. And that was kind of the narrative that they want to change. But they wanted to use the impact of what they're seeing on the data. So I think it's in a portfolio is the first step to go, and then just confidence. You just need the confidence to know that, for example, UN Women don't have a specific person they hire. They want value. What value do you bring to the picture? So do you bring in better telling their stories? Do you bring in, can you fix their databases when they're not working nicely? So I think the moment you tune yourself to that perspective, then you get to realize that there's so much potential and there are so many jobs. Another interesting kind of story was some data science consulting gig that I got, I think, a year or two ago. And this guy just came. I was just posting on LinkedIn, and he just commented there, "Hey team, I like your work. I'm so and so." He DM'd me, "I'm so and so. Can we have a call tomorrow?" I think it was on a Friday. At first, I didn't thought it was going to kind of culminate into something. But then during the call, after the call, the guy was like, "Now I have this startup I'm building, and I think you're the perfect fit person. And we would like to offer you a role. So could you just give us contractors terms and agreements, and then we see what we can work from there." And this guy was in, I think, Australia. So even the time zone was quite weird, because I had to jump into that call with him at, I think, 7 or 6 in the morning. But that just shows you that once you have your portfolio out there and you talk passionately about what you do, then basically everything is indeed possible.
No, that's amazing. That's very cool. And it shows when you walk through your profile that you definitely know what you're doing and you're very passionate about it. There are a few questions in the chat. Maybe we could start with that, and then if Tony has a question, he can jump in. So
sure.
Faith, oh no, sorry. Let's start with Kevin's question. He says, "How did you land your first job in Tableau?"
Yeah. So I think my first job in Tableau, so the role was, I think it was called an analytics lead. So it was this company called Zelam Analytics. So these guys do work around cloud and tech connectivity in Africa and Asia. So they kind of collect this bunch of data sets around how many data centers are in Africa, how many are in Nairobi, how many are in Ghana, how many are in South Africa, Durban, all that, such kind of stuff. So I remember I just had my, that was when I was actively doing Tableau portfolio work. So Tableau Public, I used to post a lot. So I used to randomly just get data. There are kind of these Tableau initiatives, Makeover Mondays. I think I did so many of those ones to a point where I think I have a Gmail account with just Google photos of Makeover Mondays that we used to do. Like these guys would post them today, I would replicate the same thing they have done. But then yeah, so I think that's through that phase. I think the guy was, the company used Tableau. I think that was the first kind of startup company that was so confident to use Tableau. And I think he just picked my my portfolio from the Tableau Public space. So that's how amazing this can look like. So when you those are kind of posts that you keep making on Tableau Public, there's a team that runs those numbers in the backend. Actually, I think there were some guys who had a dashboard that ranked every Tableau user in each country. So when you go to Kenya, you'd see who's posting more, who's doing what. So I think that guy just went there, picked up my profile from there, picked up my email, and then he DM'd me. And it was so simple and so unofficial that at first I thought, is this even happening? Because the guy was like, so I've gone through your portfolio. I think I like what you do. So this is what we do. If it's something of interest, we can jump into a call maybe after a day. I think it was around the Christmas period. So he tells me, then he texts me back after some time and tells me now, because I think it was on the 23rd. So he was going to travel and I think he had issues with his ticket. So he tells me, he was based in the US. So he tells me, because of those changes, can we have the call in the afternoon? So I'm like, so who DMs you for a job invite and then tells you again, let's have the same interview the same day? So I was like, this looks fishy. Then the guy just let me, he just told me, just talk to me about data. Don't talk to me about what you've done, about your resume, about what you've studied. No, just talk to me about data. And through that, after our call, he sent me the contract of the role. At first, it seemed super crazy. So these guys in the US. So I think that first role, if I can remember well, I think they were paying around maybe $30 to $35 per hour then. So that's how crazy it was. I honestly even didn't see value of my data role that I was doing in Kenya. So I was like, so then I'm still being employed in a 9 to 5 in Kenya. But then, so I think that was my first role. It was purely Tableau. So we used to build these dashboards and charts within Tableau. And then the company now would repackage these into a portal and some reports, and then now they would sell these to interesting investors within the region in the cloud connectivity space.
Wow, that's amazing.
Interesting.
That is the most easygoing first interview I've ever had of. That's really cool.
Yeah.
The power of community and being out there.
Yeah, right? There are a few more questions if you'd like to take maybe 2 more, if that's okay.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. So
This other
Faith
question
asks,
is a bit interesting, actually. Yeah.
Faith's question?
Yeah, I can take it.
Mhm.
What will be your advice to a newbie in data science? Number one, to freelance, or number two, the typical 9 to 5 to gain experience?
Yeah. So I think I'd start from this perspective. So freelancing is also just giving you experience. What freelancing gives you is it gives you the power to control your time. So for example, right now I have some project that I'm doing with UN Women where we are analyzing their social media for sentiment, emotion, and hate speech. So that's a typical data science problem. So we are getting their tweets about or tag tweets that are tagged on their UN Women accounts in the Arabic region. And we're basically just building and refining models, sentiment, hate speech, and emotion models. However, so the normal 8 to 5 gives you, I like to make it look like it gives you a structured way of doing things that you will, even when you transition into freelancing, you will kind of embrace that. But I would say there is no preference of where to start. I think maybe what freelancing maybe might look like at a starting level might seem a bit difficult trying to land that first job. But I just begin it with a portfolio, whether you're doing data visualization or whether you're doing data science. My GitHub has another world of me. So I have a website, a personal website, a Tableau portfolio, and all those things just have my work. And then I also now have a GitHub page that has another world of me, now the machine learning and the data engineering version of me. So when I bid for jobs or when I apply for roles, even just normal 8 to 5 roles, I would contextualize my application from the point of what I have done. So for example, if I'm applying for maybe a banking job or something in the credit sector, there is within my portfolio somewhere where I build a credit scoring model, or where I even just prototyped such a system in my head. So sometimes you don't need to actually build it end to end. Sometimes maybe you worked in a team, or you were within a project that you didn't really get hands on, but you got the whole picture of how everything was designed. And for data scientists, it's so interesting that most of tutorials you will see on YouTube, on all these teaching platforms, will tell you all these amazing ideas of building machine learning models, but most of them just sit on your Jupyter notebooks. Now, the business doesn't need that. The business needs action from what you've done. So action can be in form of, you've built a very good model, it works fine, but then what next? So what next is you need to serve this model to the audience. So for example, if it's a credit scoring model, now you need to serve it using an API to maybe a front-end interface that is being created by maybe the DevOps team or something like that, and such kind of stuff. But I would say there's kind of no preference for either freelancing or a 9 to 5 to gain experience. I think it's mostly has to begin from, you need to get that portfolio and believe in yourself. And whichever, whether it's a 9 to 5 that comes first, whether it's a freelancing that comes first, whatever comes, just know you're working towards building an arsenal of skills. You're working to build, and each of these interactions or each of these things that you work on are basically just feeding into this arsenal of skills that you're assembling on the side. Yeah, but I would for a first timer, I would not authoritatively, but I would just say maybe a 9 to 5 would make sense. But I think the concept of 9 to 5 is also changing, especially the last couple of 5 years. If you ask me right now to sit in a 9 to 5, it wouldn't really make so much sense for a data person, because what you do is a bit dynamic, not so static. And the freedom to freelance a bit can give you a bit more freedom to enrich what you're doing and also get creative. For example, if you maybe worked in the banking sector, it's very difficult to be super creative in the banking sector, because the way the business work in the banking sector is, we lend to make money, and either way we will post in those profits at the end of the year. So it's not your creativity as a data scientist who will come and give us these billions that we are making, for example, for the case of top banks in Kenya. So what, for example, most banks in Kenya want is they want someone to just do the job. You just come, make sure the systems are running, make sure all is well. That's it. And that's it. But now freelancing gives you this perspective of, you can get creative. For example, when I started working with these NGOs staff, I realized that there's such a huge gap when it comes to Kenya and Africa in general, when it comes to how we communicate with data. So I think one of the huge pioneers of data journalism communication in Kenya is the Business Daily by Nation. But when I look at their visuals, they are so basic. There's so much clutter. Sometimes I just buy those newspapers to look at their visuals, and sometimes I just get so angry because you don't need so much unnecessary stuff. You need to clearly communicate to impact. You don't need to just have a chat there because you are to have a chat there. And then you don't need to have a chat there to have a summary of 3,000 words to summarize that chat. You let the chat speak for itself. Yeah, so I think there's different dynamics to it, but maybe for a start, you could maybe do the 9 to 5, but I think that concept with time is changing a lot. So maybe if I look at maybe 10 years from now, especially with AI, 10 years from now, I don't think 9 to 5 for the data people will really make so much sense. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's a really interesting answer. Especially the newspaper part, like I totally get it. I feel like it's the types of newspapers you just wrap stuff with because come on,
Yeah.
it could be so much better than it actually is.
Yeah.
So just
And you
on
see
that,
also,
before we move on, sorry, because I had a question on that when you said that in the next 10 years you project, from your opinion, that the 9 to 5 will kind of be improbable for
yeah,
analysts.
yeah,
What do you mean by that? What do you expect the day of an analyst to be in the next 5 to 10 years?
yeah. Okay. So all right. So I think I attended this year's Tableau conference, and because of the AI hype, the ChatGPT was just released in 2022. Now we have Claude, now we have Gemini, now we have all these perplexity. So everything is AI. So there's this concept that Tableau introduced during their last Tableau conference, and it was basically agentic analytics. So basically what we do as analysts is we build the entire pipeline. So we get the data. For example, maybe you're working on some report, you pull in the data using a script, a Python script from whichever database or cloud infrastructure, AWS, Databricks. So you pull in the data and you do the analysis there, and then you would present this to maybe whoever you're presenting this to. However, AI, interestingly, is going to change a lot of that, because you'd spend maybe so much unnecessary time trying to figure out something that AI would do quite fast. So for example, at the moment, most AIs have the ability, for example, to maybe pull in your data from your whichever source and quickly give you some analysis. And now, when you add the layer of human, or call it, for example, machine translated language. So for example, Tableau have this feature where you could basically just write what you want from the data. So I want to see the behavior of the cells in the last 6 months. And AI would go into your database, run the SQL queries. I think Tableau use a different querying method, not typically SQL, but it will basically just run that, and it would give you these summaries of information. Now that, to me, it's like saying you've built a dashboard, and the dashboard now gives this information, because now your dashboard is what would give this information. But now it doesn't stop there. I think the value of humans in the value chain of analytics is not necessarily around knowing how to code and knowing all these ton of programming and whatever. I think the value chain of an analyst in this entire pipeline is the impact, and the impact is right at the end here. So the impact is from what you have with the data, or whatever the output of the data, how is it impactful to our business case? So in the back of your mind as an analyst, you need to know that you are not the automation bot to run these scripts and do all these things. You are the human who seeks to bring this value, because at the moment, AI is not doing so great at trying to give this value. Yes, it can give you some 1, 2, 3 insights that do make sense, but then your human brain is a bit more advanced than currently AI to do that. And then also the main advantage of also kind of right now is for example, for a simple query, for example, you tell maybe ChatGPT or Cloud to build you a nice dashboard to show maybe the investors rise on the Conza project, for example. There is so much computing power that the AI uses to produce the insights for you. This computing power is directly or fueled by power, which is electricity. And that is something that right now the world is not ready for, because a lot of this electricity for it to run, microchips, data centers. So it is far cheaper for the analyst to give me the business relation of the output rather than AI at the moment. So yes, we are going to have a shift where we can have AI agents that can give us the summaries that we want from the data. But we want someone who will now take responsibility and put this into a proper business case and what is of value to us. Now, that to me changes the role of an analyst slightly a bit from the typical, I want to run scripts, I want to build dashboards, I want to know how to build dashboards in Tableau, to now, how do I use what I have to bring value? So that's why I say maybe the reason I've said maybe 10 years is because also the microchip and cloud computing world is going so fast, and probably in the next 10 years, they would have already figured a cheaper way of maybe executing or running AI queries. At the moment, it's super, super expensive. It's even just a company like ChatGPT itself, at the moment, it's struggling to make money to sustain your ChatGPT queries of whatever you're doing on ChatGPT at the moment.
Okay, understood. Tony, do you have anything on your side?
I think he has preempted, because I was asking him his takes on AI and analytics, and I think he has answered that. And as you've spoken too much about portfolio, this one from James, he just wants some guidance on where to start from when it comes to building a portfolio. Maybe you can just guide him.
Yeah. All right. So I think the first place to building a portfolio to me is you identify what you're passionate about. I think one of the things that I've come to appreciate about myself in the last couple of years is I found myself being so passionate about basically the world and the impact that I would want to have in this world. So for example, we have so many data sources in the world. So let me maybe contextualize it in Kenya. So in Kenya, we have the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics that I think, once you go to their website right now, they publish tons of statistics and tons of quite good analysis of data. But now, most of that data is not really impactful because it's just like there in terms of reports. And some of it, probably even if you'd go to the back end of their systems, you would get maybe less than even 50,000 people who've opened most of those reports. However, there's so much impact that you could use or you could derive from those reports and put it into the use case. So for example, one of the reports I was recently working on is one that they did a housing survey. So they did a nationwide housing survey where they wanted to learn the preferences of people when it comes to housing. And one of the interesting stats I picked up from that survey was 75% of people would not want to live in their current houses that they're living in. 75% of Kenyans. So I think the first step is if you're passionate about and you want to make impact in maybe, let's say, something like the health space, let's say something like maybe the housing space, go into Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, get some of those data sets. They are freely available. You can get them in Excel format, in table format. I think a while back they also had some starter file formats as well. And basically just start building charts. I think when it comes to the data world, you just start building something. You have to do your analysis, look at the data, try and make a story out of it. If it's not a story, try and build a chart out of it, and just see how better would you communicate this than what they have done. And that first step or that first chart marks your portfolio. So a portfolio can be something as simple as a Word document that you've just put in these charts that you've done. It shouldn't be something complex. Later on you'd see, or later on you would get to see that, for example, how to make it more interactive, maybe as a website, maybe as a GitHub page or something like that. But it can be something as simple. For example, on most of my interviews, I normally go with slides, Google Slides or PowerPoint slides. So when I know I'm interviewing for this role, I will basically contextualize myself into that role. And then I will illustrate for them value. So most of my interview process, or most of them at least, I can say I have them easy because they don't get to ask me questions. Because most of their questions are asked when I'm presenting myself. So they would just look at everything, and at the end they would maybe just ask me the normal HR related summary questions. But technically what needs or what is required for the role would come out clearly from the value I have illustrated to them. Yeah, so you could start from anywhere. It can be a Word document, it can be a PDF, it can be anything, it can be a website. I think we have tons of AIs that can build websites. It can be Tableau public itself. That's the first thing that I think once you start using Tableau, you need to have.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. I think because of time, we're right on time. I will kind of start closing up the session now. I honestly enjoyed your part of the session. I think I've learned so much, and I will definitely go back and look at my Tableau public profile and see if it compares to yours, because you've done a lot of work. So guys, as he said, my takeaway, and I'll let Tony also give his. I think my takeaway from Timothy is just start. Find out what you're passionate about, find topics that speak to you and feel relevant for you, and try find ways to tell those stories. Post that information out there, put it out there, put it on your Tableau public profile or your portfolio, whether that's a GitHub, a website, whatever you feel works for you. And put your work out there. The more you put your work out there, the more you can attract amazing people, just like Tony did in his story. People find you when you're confident enough to show the skills that you have and what you can do. So yeah, I think that was a really great first session. Thank you so much, Timothy, for the time, for coming and joining us. I feel like we will call you back again because you have said a few things there that I think we were hoping to add in technical sessions in future. So thank you so much. I think the last thing that I will say before I close out the session is shameless plug. Please follow us on our different platforms. Tableau user group, which is where we will host all the events. Like for today's, we will put this recording on that user page. So you can always go back to it if you have any questions on what we talked about today. You could share it with others as well in case you think they'll find value. And yeah, also follow us on LinkedIn. I think that's where we'll share more resources beyond the events in the coming weeks. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining our session, our very first session. It was really good. Join us in the next 4 weeks as well. We will have another speaker session just like this, but I think we'll have a technical session in between. So we'll share that all on our LinkedIn page. Thank you, Timothy, as well, for your time. If you have any questions for Timothy, please feel free to reach out to him on his LinkedIn. If you want to hire him, clearly he is the right guy. Like, honestly, I think I should go for a masterclass on some of these things because I have never thought of freelancing full-time. I think that's very, very cool. So yeah, I'm going to close out the session now, guys. Thank you so much for joining. And in case of anything, please feel free to find us on LinkedIn or the user page itself. And I'll let Tony close out officially, and then we can enjoy our weekend.
Mine is basically to thank you for joining this session. I think it has been impactful. I've also learned a lot. Shout out Timothy. You're doing great work
Yeah.
out here. As Kenya said, and yeah, you should come back because the Figma bit of it and doing that with you. I think it's somewhere I also struggle, the creativity bit of it. I also want to get a masterclass on that. So thank you. Thank you for giving us your time. And thank you guys. Have a lovely weekend. That's it from me. Bye.
Have a lovely weekend. Bye bye, guys.